And we are back, episode 7, Everything Suspect Podcast. It's your boy Billy D. And as you can see, we got a different setup. I'm on the road, and I'm talking about a topic today that I felt I needed some reinforcement on. So I got the best woman I knew for the job. It's my sister, Tanisha Sheridan. What's up, Nish?
What's up? Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you for being a part of this. This is a weird one. For what it's worth, she's here because I wanted to touch on a topic that I don't feel comfortable enough or qualified enough to talk about. I've said on other podcasts that I am a Neanderthal. So there's only so much I'm going to be able to say and get away with without somebody to either balance me out or give a perspective that I may not have. So you know how we do this. We keep it short, we keep it sweet. We touch on a topic, we give a philosophy on it. And you give your perspective, I give mine. We see if we can land somewhere in the middle. And who knows what'll happen. But what I'm talking about today is the stress of the black female athlete. For those who don't know, and I'm sure nobody does except people that might come on here and see you, you were a female athlete, very good, basketball, track, and
Not track. Volleyball.
There we go. So I felt it only right to bring a female athlete in to understand, to talk about this conversation and, I don't know, break down the psyche of this.
Okay.
So we have three athletes we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about Simone Biles. We're going to talk about Naomi Osaka and Sha'Carri Richardson. There's others that we could talk about, but we're going to land on those three because they are the most recent.
Yeah.
And the question is, what are they facing? Are they handling it well? And how different is it for a female black athlete than it is for a black male athlete?
Okay.
All right. So we can start with Simone.
All right.
So let's play the clip.
Silver medalists now, and they should be really proud of themselves for how well they did last minute having to go in. And it's been really stressful, this Olympic Games. I think just as a whole, not having an audience, there are a lot of different variables going into it. It's been a long week. It's been a long Olympic process. It's been a long year. So just a lot of different variables. And I think we're just a little bit too stressed. Sorry. No injury, thankfully. And that's why I took a step back, because I didn't want to do something silly out there and get injured. So I thought it was best if these girls took over and did the rest of the job, which they absolutely did. They're Olympic silver medalists now, and they should be really proud of themselves for how well they did last minute having to go in. And it's been really stressful, this Olympic Games. I think just as a whole, not having an audience, there are a lot of different variables going into it. It's been a long week. It's been a long Olympic process. It's been a long year. So just a lot of different variables, and I think we're just a little bit too stressed out, but we should be out here having fun, and sometimes that's not the case. I just felt like it would be a little bit better to take a back seat, work on my mindfulness, and I knew that the girls would do an absolutely great job, and I didn't want to risk the team a medal for kind of my screw-ups, because they've worked way too hard for that. So I just decided that those girls need to go in and do the rest of the competition.
The question.
Yeah, we're going to take it a day at a time. I know tomorrow that we have a half day, or at least the morning off. So it'll be a good mental rest, and so we'll take it from there.
Struggling with mental health issues?
Yeah, I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy your sport and you're not going to succeed as much as you want to. So it's okay sometimes to even sit out the big competitions to focus on yourself, because it shows how strong of a competitor and person that you really are. rather than just battle through it.
Simone, the documentary.
It was definitely something that was unexpected. We were kind of emotional when we found out that she wasn't going to continue, and we all just had to put our minds in a great position, because at the end of the day we were just out there to show what we needed to show, and we went up and did what we did, and I'm just very proud that we were able to do that.
Okay, so there we see Simone. That was right after she backed out. Right. So like she went in. She fumbled a little bit on her landing.
Yeah.
And after that, she was like, "No, I ain't got it today."
Right.
And that was the soundbite of her explaining why she did what she did. So, I've said enough.
Okay.
So, what is your opinion of what she did right there?
I think Simone Biles did exactly what she was supposed to do. But more importantly, she did what a lot of us wish we could do, right? Athlete or not, right? You can pull it out of, this is her job, right? So pull it away from her just being an athlete, just being a woman on her job.
Okay.
Right? And prioritizing her mental health. And also tying her mental health to the fact that it has an impact on her physical health. Right? So if you think of gymnastics, you watch these people do all these amazing things, right? The twists, the turns, the doubles, the triples, and all that stuff, right? And Simone Biles herself defies human capabilities at times, right?
Sure.
So to be off her game means to put her body at risk. And I felt like she put herself first in a time and a space where people don't do that, and people aren't used to seeing people do that.
So you said she put herself first.
She put herself first because
So does that not, because I see it as a team sport, and in that clip you see her teammates are like, "Yo, well, we the baddest gymnast in the world,
right,
beside us," and then to find out that in that moment we don't have our secret weapon, we don't have the thing that gets us from a silver, we play silver, to a gold. So I don't. Also,
okay,
because I'm going to be honest with you, of these three, she is my least favorite. Yeah, she's my least favorite. And I'll tell you why she's my least favorite. Maybe it's expectation, right? I think in the Naomi thing that we're going to get into later, and in the Sha'Carri thing that we're going to get into later, I believe she was the person who was most responsible for other people around her. Like, that's a gymnast team,
right?
I like the Naomi situation because, and I don't want to get too deep into Naomi, but she is by herself. That's a solo thing. That is boxing. That is golf. That is these sports in which it's only you, right? But with her, I think she was the one who had the most responsibility, where like we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so for her to go from their strongest person to their weakest, and not even their weakest, to remove herself from it, at what point do you realize like it is a team sport and I got to be there for my team, as opposed to, and look, by no means am I discounting her need for a focus on her mental health.
Absolutely.
But the reason why she is the least favorite, I don't dislike her, she's just my least favorite of them, is because she had a responsibility to others and she just pulled the rug from under them.
So, a couple things. Why do you see Naomi as a gymnast, as a team player, not Sha'Carri? Because she was
Naomi
representing
is tennis.
Simone. Okay. Why do you not see Simone? Or why do you not see Sha'Carri as a team player? but you see Simone as a team player? Because I see duality in track and gymnastics, right?
Yeah,
Simone is running by herself. Or sorry, Sha'Carri is running by herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's representing the U.S. team. What's supposed to? So to put that added stress and that added pressure on Simone, but not put it on Sha'Carri, I think is a little unfair. That's number one. Number two, you talked about Simone pulling out and that impacting her team, maybe keeping them from the gold. But if she shows up as anything less than her best self and gets injured, right? She makes it look easy. She makes it look easy.
Facts.
But never in my life have I even been able to do a backflip. The best I can give you is a round off. Right? And so my thing is,
your round off is better in the Olympics than her not doing nothing.
It's not if she gets hurt, because if she gets hurt, then what? And then take into account what she was up against as well. Right? They were not going to score her fairly up front anyway. So she was already fighting a losing battle. There were certain moves that if she did that, she was not getting full credit for them, because nobody else could do the moves that Simone Biles did.
So she's graded on a curve? So she's graded on a curve?
No, everybody else is graded on a curve. Simone determines the curve. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
So there was some move or a series of moves that if Simone did it, they were not going to give her credit for it because nobody else could do it.
That's garbage.
But it's what happened.
I don't.
It's what happened. We can revisit. We can revisit that.
We're not going to do that right now.
We can revisit it. But what I'm saying is, what is the point of her competing just for the sake of saying that she competed if she gets hurt? To throw all of that pressure, and that's one of the things, right? You putting all this pressure on this one person.
So, I get it, right?
You're putting all this pressure on this one person, and she told you she's not her best self. She's not going to perform and could injure herself.
So at what point? So answer me this if you know the answer to it. What other things does she do?
What do you mean? What other things does she do?
Like outside, like we all know that the ultimate thing for gymnasts is the Olympics, right?
Okay.
So is there anything else that she does outside of qualifying for the Olympics within the confines of gymnastics that she does?
I'm trying to understand your question.
Like,
she's a gymnast
for the United States of America.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, what else does she do? Meaning, when it comes to anything having to do with gymnastics, do they qualify? Do they go other places? Do they do it? Because, look, we don't hear about gymnasts. We don't hear about a lot of these sports.
There's other tournaments that she's been in prior to the Olympics, right? And I guess what I'll ask is, where are we going with that? Because
where we're going is here. And this is where my Neanderthal, old school thing comes into play. For example, Michael Jordan, Game 6, the flu game. Mm-hmm. He was not his best self.
He was not.
And he was actually a biohazard on that basketball court.
He absolutely was.
You know what I'm saying?
Should have been quarantined.
So he should have been quarantined.
He should have had a mask on.
But he didn't.
Right.
Instead, he is sweating and bumping into people, and Scott is dragging this man off the floor. Mm-hmm. Meaning, you have one job, is what I'm getting at. All she does is gymnastics, right?
All she does is gymnastics, that full body sport? Don't diminish what she does.
No. I'm not diminishing what she does. But what I'm saying is, you have one job, and that one job is to be a gymnast. That's the reason why I preface this scenario
that you are a Neanderthal.
No, not that I'm a Neanderthal.
Because that's what's riding right there.
With the fact of what else does she do? I mean, when it comes to gymnastics, because you said something about her getting hurt.
Yes.
Right. So if she gets hurt, what other time is she going to get hurt? There's only two times where she can get hurt. Practicing, or playing.
So let me say this. it is pretty much a given that Simone Biles is going to qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right?
She's going
to throw her best self into those Olympics. So there might be moves.
Like everybody else is going to.
Right. But Simone does extra stuff that nobody else can do.
That's what makes her gifted.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is she's more likely to get hurt, in my opinion, in the Olympics doing that move with the pressure that comes with performing during the Olympics.
So if not then, when?
What do you mean?
If she's not going to put her whole body on the line, like if I'm going to get hurt doing something, I want to get hurt doing it at the highest level.
But
if Jordan is going to
the detriment of your team, though, because let you tell it, she's got her whole team riding on her back, right? So let's say she gets hurt.
I'm saying she's the best on her team.
She's the best on her team, but if she gets hurt, she's out the game anyway, right? And so what I'm saying to you is that silver medal could easily turn into a bronze to not being on the podium at all if she gets hurt.
So you actually believe that her going out and getting hurt would actually hurt their chances?
You feeling like she didn't participate at all hurt their chances of winning a gold. So if you're going to put it on her back, it's on her back in either scenario. She knows her body better than you or I ever will.
I give you that.
And so, and think about all the training that goes into any sport in the Olympics, especially gymnastics, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that she walked away from the Olympics lightly, that she made that decision lightly, without any consideration for her team, her coaches, her critics, the people who were rooting for her in the U.S., what that would mean, what that would represent, what that would say about her, then we're missing it, right? Mm. I don't think she was just like, might get hurt, I'm not going to participate. Think of how mentally strong you have to be to continue to perform at the level that Simone Biles does. And what it would take for you to be like, man, I did a move and I was like, yo, I'm not mentally here. Let me back off, right? And here's what I'll say. We are not the same. Simone and I are not the same, right? But there have been days at work where I'm like, I'm going to have to take a break, or I'm going to have to take the day off. Mm-hmm. Or the rest of the day off, because mentally it's not clicking. I'm not going to be my best self. And that's the only job that I got outside of being a mom and a wife. That's my only job.
But the day that you feel that pressure is not the day where everything's on the line. You get what I'm saying? So like, let's even take, because you said something interesting as far as her mental health. Mm-hmm. And I believe mental health is a huge portion, and it does not need to be diminished or looked over. Mm-hmm. The issue that I'm having, and the reason why you're here, is because at what point do you power through? Like, I believe part of being as great as she is has a lot to do with being great on a bad day. And if the day that you have to do what it is that you do, mm-hmm. you're not feeling it that day. So Mike Tyson, I'm gonna come with you with some weird old school. All right, you know that's my guy.
But apples and oranges. Is that what we're doing on the pod?
We can.
Is that what we're doing?
I'm only
Mike Tyson.
I'm only look. And this is what I'm getting at. This is all I'm saying.
Hold on 1 second. The comments that are about to be expressed are Billy D's and Billy D's alone.
All right,
they don't belong to me.
And they're comments. They're not. They're just examples. I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus or do anything weird. But do you not think there's been a boxer or a UFC fighter or whatever who they step in the ring and they realize like, yo, Manny Pacquiao.
No. Stay with Mike Tyson.
Let's not. Because in my brain, I can't with another one. Please.
No. Please use Mike Tyson.
No. Bust it. This is an even better one. All right, I love Mike. He will see this, and
because he's your super best friend in the whole wide world. But conversation for a different day.
Well, yes. Manny Pacquiao, right? Okay. For boxing fans out there, there was one fight that we all wanted to see, and that was Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Any boxing fan, true boxing fan, will let you know that fight happened 5, maybe 10 years later.
You're absolutely right.
Okay? All right, so the fight finally happens, right? I fly to Vegas.
I know you do.
Just to be in Vegas for this fight. I went to MGM Grand just to buy a t-shirt, but I flew there. I wanted to see this fight so badly. It was such a part of me. Mm-hmm. I flew just to be in the city that it was happening in, just because it was that important to me as a boxing fan. Like, I want to say I was in Vegas the night Manny Pacquiao fought Mayweather, even though the results were what I expected. Mm-hmm. Later it came out, of course, we don't have to talk about history, but for those who don't know what boxing or follow boxing, Mayweather won, of course. If you know anything about boxing, he's never lost. That's another conversation for another day, like you said. But it came out later that Manny Pacquiao had a torn rotator cuff in his shoulder the night of the fight. He walks into this fight knowing he's hurt, knowing he's not his best self. Mm-hmm. And he still took that fight. He still went through with it, right? So what I'm saying is, as athletes, so now we have a question of, are we going to talk about, do we need to differentiate between different sports and say that mental health in this sport is more important than it is in other sports? Or because I would like to think that if you are at the top of your heap, you need to fight through anything that is bothering you, egging you, and then we got Sha'Carri coming, right? Yeah. That's going to be a whole thing with her mother and all that. But giving you an example of a man who had the biggest fight of his life, a fight that fans and everybody wanted him to be ready for. He went in unprepared, knowing he was unprepared, fought the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew that in that moment he could not back out.
Was it because he couldn't back out because he was under contract? Because that was my next question. And you tell me. I don't feel like Pacquiao went in there as anything less than his best self for any other reason other than he was under contract to do so.
So you think Pacquiao would have backed out?
I think they could have delayed it. You know what I'm saying? He's not his best self. So for me, I need people to be their best self. Show up as your best self so you can give me the best show. And yeah, the results were what we thought it was. But if I have a torn rotator cuff, for me, I'm not giving you props for fighting through that. You robbed me. You robbed me of a better fight if you walked in there as anything less than your best self. And that's how I feel about Simone Biles. I feel like, would we have the silver medal overall? Because you act like she didn't come back. She came back and competed with her team.
This is a fact.
And you're not giving her credit for that.
I did not give her credit.
Which leads
I did not give her credit.
Leads to a topic that which leads to a topic that we will definitely get into as we talk about Sha'Carri. Safe spaces for Black women to be vulnerable about addressing their mental health.
And I'm all for that.
And Black female athletes at that. Because she knows what she's capable of more than we do. And I don't want Simone Biles showing up as anything less than herself. On any occasion, be it the Olympics or anything. The Ronald McDonald tournament down the street. I don't want her doing anything less than her best work.
So
because it diminishes who she is.
The only time she can actually participate and be a part of something is when she's
That is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying if she is not her best self and she knows that could lead to injury, I'm going to lose Simone Biles anyway. I could potentially lose Simone Biles anyway.
So at what point does she say, I still got to power through? Because
she came back. She came back and joined her team. And
okay, you know what? That's a fair point.
Because for me, it doesn't have to look the way that, respectfully, that you would want it to look. Because she didn't have to come back. She could have said, screw y'all and Tokyo, and went back home and let that be that. But she came back and performed with her team amidst all the criticism, amidst all the stress that she told y'all she was under, that she told us that she was under. We got to give credit where credit is due. She came back.
So walking away from Simone Biles as we transition, because we can stay on this forever. You are, for me, she was my least favorite simply because I felt like she wasn't a good teammate. I also believe that other people in other sports are not allowed to do what she did. So at what point do we draw a line and say these sports are different? Like, do we want to make it a male versus female thing or a sport versus sport thing? Because some people have to be on even when they don't want to be.
I think, for me, I definitely believe, and this is a conversation, a larger conversation for a different time, that the world is more forgiving of male athletes than they are female athletes, right? And I want to make sure I don't mispronounce his name, and I probably am.
Wait, say that again.
The world is more forgiving of male athletes than they are female athletes.
I disagree with that. But give an example.
Ryan Lochte, is that his last name?
The dude who stole the swimming dude in Brazil.
How much more have you heard about that? What was the criticism online that you
It
saw?
came and it left very fast.
Oh, did it now?
I got an example for you. I got an example for you.
Come on, did it now?
Yeah. It came and went fast.
Okay.
But is that a race thing or a male? Is that a white versus black thing, or is that a male versus female thing? That's the question that I pose to you.
Well, we can do that too. Black males are forgiven more than black females.
Okay, I can't do the latest.
Well, no, you said is that a race thing?
Yeah. Okay,
And
all
I think
right.
all
So
of
I'll let you go.
all of it is.
We're just peeling the onion.
We are.
All right.
And let's not go too deep because we have two other people to talk about, right?
Yeah. We're in heavy.
Like, absolutely, we forgive black males more than we do black females because it's a flash in the pan. It's a flash in the pan.
We forgive black males more than we forgive black females?
Who's your super duper best friend in the world?
No.
Oh,
I'm gonna go. No. R.I.P. Kobe. Kobe was fighting a rape beef.
However.
No. Go finish, because I'm gonna tell you.
Go ahead.
What they gave Kobe. They served Kobe even in death.
I agree with that. Beef. I agree. They brought it up. They brought it up. And then after he retired, and he was turned into an author and a producer and all those things, right? Even in that, they said, or it was a group of people who wanted Kobe to be removed from even being nominated for a Grammy or an Oscar or whatever it was that he did, right? Yeah.
And this is even after his career is over, and then after he dies. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. Like, where are we going to go with this? Where does it stop, and where's the line drawn?
So let me say this though. Let me say this. There are far more people who speak glowingly about Kobe than there are the people that you talked about.
But the people who I'm talking about carry more weight and have more to do.
Is he not an Oscar winning? Did he not win an Oscar?
I don't know if he won or not.
He absolutely won the Oscar, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, the people that you're talking about are a small fraction, and I hate to use this word, but this is all I got. Powerless.
No, they have power.
Do they? Because he has an Oscar.
He finally got the Oscar.
And
I'm saying is, that did not go away easy. That did not go away easy,
but he got the Oscar. Think about Oscar.
And I don't want you to miss my point. And what I'm saying is this: he had to play through that. So if you want to talk about mental health,
okay.
Like, so this is what I'm getting at, and then we can move on to Naomi. I believe is next. All I'm getting at is this: if you are a professional athlete, there is a certain level of mental fortitude I believe you have to have beyond you having a bad day at work, beyond me having whatever I have to have. Like, at some point, when you're in the finals, or when you're in the World Series, or when it's fight night, or when it's the Olympics, That's the time when I believe 1000% you have to be on.
I think that you're expecting people to show up just to say that they showed up and didn't look like they quit, because going back to the Pacquiao argument, he wasn't his best self. He showed up just to say that he showed up. He showed up. Did you feel like that was a good fight?
I can't speak for. I had it. If I remember correctly,
It was not a good fight.
I had it 116 to 111. It was not.
You traveled to Vegas.
I kept
For the
score that
most
night.
night.
I kept score that night.
I hope you
I wish I
partied.
still had.
I hope you partied because you went there for a lackluster fight. I hope you got everything you needed from the night, because that was not it.
Needless to say, I did. But be that as it may, I just believe at some point you have to power through. So, and I mean, like,
To what end? To what end? At what detriment?
To death.
Okay, or not. Okay, that's what we trying to avoid.
To some injury.
She did, but she got that medal.
Hey,
She was
R.I.P.
here. Maybe not.